maybe you should. No, I've got to get pizzas to that observatory over there. And so you get attacked by some like smoke monster, and you like the pizzas fall off, and you're like scrambling around, like, oh no, somebody
Smoke
needs
monster.
the pepperoni.
So I'm swimming through 30 weight motor oil.
Why are these new additions to your game that your intention was to release this fall? What are you doing?
Their primary focus should be surviving litigation.
Someone take his phone. I'll do it. Just give me a key card and a red button that turns off Randy's Wi-Fi.
It pisses me off that they lump racing in with sports. Then you look at this insert F-bomb, Mario Kart and Sonic Racing lumped in with F-125.
An aimless rant. We were just angry.
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology.
Up, everybody. We are live. He is Jay of F1 Podcast fame. I am Mason of Online Infamy, and we are the conversation at the state of play behind you. Wow, we are skin of our teeth today, Jay. It has been a hustle. Hustle.
Not to
I know
quote
you had
Chevy Chase, but holy shit, where's the Tylenol?
Yeah, man, you were scrambling to you had stuff that you had to do. I was trying to get through the state of play. I
had to skip hair and makeup.
Yeah, right.
It was awful, but anyway.
Yeah, so it has been crazy, but we've got a big show. It's been a big week as well. It's been crazy this week, dude. I was thinking 2026. I was like, man, it's gonna be let's a new leaf, a new year. Let's kind of get some things going, and it has been a beating, Jay, all year so far. So obviously we had the stuff with my dad and his health issues, and then last week it was all about people using me for money. This week it's about objects using me for money, Jay. This week, so after the show on Saturday, a friend of mine, his toddler had a birthday, and I was going to go to the birthday party and participate, and got in the garage, went to start the car, nothing. So thankfully, it was not the alternator or the starter. Turns out it was just the battery, but of course, just the battery is still a $350 fix. So there was that. Then I had insurance dues come up, and my computer, the computer that I use, it's a MacBook Pro to record on, edit on, all of that, and I'm on it right now. Now this is obviously not devastating, but it is frustrating, and that is one of the speakers on this thing is like blown or something. I don't know, or it's just busted. I don't know. It's shaky, and so I can't.
Apple products.
I can't edit with it right now, man. It's driving. And then I was going to take it in to have them fix it because it should still be under warranty. And but it would be it's possible that I could be without it for like 7 days. So if I would have taken it in when I wouldn't have had it to do the show today. So I may try to take it in tomorrow morning and cross my fingers that it can get looked at, repaired, whatever, sent back to me before next Thursday.
Can't they give you a loaner?
Well, even if they do, all of my files and software and all that stuff is still on this.
Sweet, it's finally build Russ a PC rig this week. Plan.
Yeah, no, well, that's more money that I don't have, Jay. That's more money.
Yeah.
All these demands. But so it's been wild. There's been a lot of very financially demanding people and things over the last couple of weeks, unfortunately. But how about you, Jay? How's your week been?
I'm going to just use the word fatigue to explain my week. It's been tiring, and it's been long, and I've got some stuff going on too where it's just the fatigue struggle is real. Like I told you before the show, I was arguing with our show. I was just a bystander. Just let us have a smooth show, not go crazy. But we both of us are guilty. We both go off on these tangents that pulls in the other person, and then next thing you know, it's like and plus we've got so much stuff. I mean, I've got some quick hit stuff we can get rid of quick, but we still have some meaty shit that can lead to insane conversations, which I'm excited about at the same time because this is my outlet for catharsis. So
Same. I look forward to this every week, but man, sometimes the route getting here can be exhausting. But yeah, so today, like we said, it was a big day because it was the state of play. Now, PlayStation does these states of play periodically. We're not going to get into it just yet. I'll let Jay knock out some of these quick punch things, but I just wanted to say that so the state of play happened at 4:00 Central Time, the Lord's time, our time, and so once work was done, then it was scramble. I had to watch that. It was like a little over an hour long, and it started off, and I was like, okay, a little announcement here, a little thing here, and then I was like, okay, this is cool, this is cool. And I thought because it's state of plays, they do multiple of these throughout the year, and I thought it wouldn't be a huge thing, but then man, they started throwing bombs during this one, and it was well worth the watch. So we'll be reviewing that. We've got movie stuff to talk about. I got to see Iron Lung with my son last week.
That's right.
Definitely want to talk a little bit about that. But yeah, anyway, that's what we got in the lineup. We've got a lot of random gaming news and movie news. There's casting. There's layoffs when it comes to the games industry, of course. It seems like every other week there's layoffs. There's all sorts of stuff going on. But what quick hitters did you have on your list, Jay?
Well, obviously, and this was news that kind of I was excited about and it pissed me off all at the same time. We got a new vid doc. It was very short, 6 minutes and 50 seconds, talking about 007 First Light and how true to the lore they're staying with the movies, but that they're drawing a lot of their inspiration from. They actually went back and bought the box set for the novels and been kind of chewing through those. So if they started at the beginning, which is Casino Royale, then that young version of Bond, we're going to see some of that DNA bleed into, what's his name? Patrick Williams, the guy that's playing him.
Oh, I don't know the actor's name. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's what his name is. Anyway, I think we'll see some of that show up in his character. They were also talking about what a joy it was to work with this kid and that he makes a very convincing young James Bond. And of course, that made my mind wonder about, why not just use him for the new movies?
Well, you
and
know
just
how people
make
get
a
about
continuity. I know, but make a continuity that most people never even dream about, where you just go from one form of media to another and it stays smooth.
Well, honestly, I think I would rather it happen this way because I have absolute faith in this game. Nothing in this game has shaken my faith. I mean, the developers, everything they've shown.
Yeah.
What I have zero confidence in is the movie franchise. I have no confidence that Amazon Prime will do justice by 007.
Yeah, which sucks for me. And by the way, I did.
So I wouldn't want. Basically, what I'm saying is, I wouldn't want his reputation tarnished by the films after doing the game.
I did share the Google Doc with you, by the way, like 2 weeks ago, and I keep forgetting to mention and I made it a super short list of definitive Bond movies that you need to watch.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know if you got to see it or not. Anyway,
situations being what they are,
I know. I know, but I'm just saying you should still watch them.
Oh, I will. I will.
That being said, it looks like they're pulling a Henry Cavill and really digging into the lore on this, and I think it's going to be exciting. Anytime you hear him reference Ian Fleming instead of, MGM with the movies, it's exciting for me because I think Ian Fleming was so far ahead of his time and a real trailblazer. But
they actually had a new 007 trailer at the State of Play.
Yeah, and I saw. Well, I don't think it was that trailer because but I saw it. Well, how long was it?
Just a couple minutes. It just did a little bit more. It just did a little bit more establishing the story of where they're at. It basically, so not only is, obviously the whole thing is their tagline is earn the number. We know that he's not a 007 yet. That's the whole thing, is you're becoming 007. But it also shows a scene where they say I'm starting the 00 program again. So we know that it had been started. It had stopped, and it is being started again, and James Bond is in that first group that's going through it. So he's not the only one. The system as a whole has been, spun up all over again. And,
it's funny to me. The one I saw, by the way, was just a more of a showcase on Lenny Kravitz's character. So obviously that wasn't the same one. But I always love it. And in this game, we're going up against, at least in that mission we saw in the big watch along we did, going up against 009. And it's funny how in the movies it's always
they reestablished
009.
that as well, that it is 009.
Yeah. It's
in this
always
trailer.
009 that goes rogue. That's the guy that always. It's like, just do away with the number. Just decommission 009. But
Well, it doesn't
anyway,
sound nearly as cool if they're like, Norman has gone rogue.
it made me really sad that we're not getting it in March because we're so close now.
Dude, yeah.
And
Yeah,
there's still
we would be like just a couple of shows away
Yeah.
from being able to give our first impressions of the game.
But before I move on, real quick, I wanted to say that we both, and that should be a watch along. And I mean, I'd be able to do it using Clip Grab, but it would be nice the night it launches if we both get to play some of it and then get both of our maybe first 5 minutes and put them side by side just to see how people differ. You know what I mean? And what they do.
I'm
and how
down
they
for
do
that.
it.
Because
I think
as
it'd be
we've
cool.
said, I'm sure that people that listen are sick of us saying it, but this is our most anticipated
Yeah.
game of 2026.
Yeah, I don't even, like I said, I'm not even going to get GTA 6 on release day because I just don't want to be part of that madness. But
I
the
will.
other piece, the other piece that I wanted to bring up real quick is obviously we have The Expanse coming out, and again we obviously have Exodus coming out, and it was just a humorous thing to me because I got a kind of a quirky memory, and I watched this at 2 different times of the day, but I watched an Exodus piece where they started out billing itself as the spiritual successor to Mass Effect. Okay, that's cool. Then later I saw a TikTok video that showed the mag boots and some different scenes of an external space station that they were maneuvering around, and they're like the natural successor to Mass Effect. And I'm like, this is going to start a civil war when the lore kids come out, when the lore kids come out for both sides and start defending themselves. I mean, it's going to be. We don't have the fight anymore of Star Wars and Star Trek. People finally got the message that it's apples and oranges. But back in the 80s, man, that was a debate from hell. And I think we're going to get that with The Expanse and Exodus. Sorry.
I think, well, and let us not forget also Saros is also on the periphery there. That's looking to kind of carve its own way in there, but definitely trying to scratch a bit of a Mass Effect itch.
Yeah, and that game's out for me, and it was literally I took it off my wish list today.
Wow.
Because I didn't know. I guess I'm today years old when I found out it's a roguelike. And so I'm out. I hate roguelike. I mean, I hate them with a passion.
Wait, I was not aware that it was a roguelike either.
It's a roguelike.
So you just go in this loop, constant thing.
I guess, man. And I hate retreading. And I should have figured it out since it's from the same people that did Returnal. But yeah, I'm out.
It's like, okay, well then that's one for me too.
Like-
I had gotten a very different impression from what I had seen, from what they had
Yeah.
shown. It looked like
Yeah.
like an action RPG, sci-fi, like nothing that they showed gave
Yeah.
the impression of a roguelike. And yeah, like I said, I'm not no shade on roguelikes. I know tons of people love them. That's great. That's good for you.
Yeah.
It's not my thing either. I have played roguelikes that I did enjoy, but I always at some point hit a wall. Case in point, like we talked about before, Hades, the first Hades, which was great. It had a really interesting way of moving the story along, despite the fact
Yeah.
that you're, rebooting and everything. And I was enjoying it for a while, but at some point, I gotta feel like I'm making progress, man.
Yes.
And you go so long and you go so far, and then you just get thrown right back to I just can't do it. Like it removes all sense of progress for me, and it just becomes I just can't get past it.
And I got to tell you, and this is going to seem controversial and even mean-spirited, but I just feel like it's lazy game development, lazy game writing, not development. Because it's like, hey, let's make it so that they have to retread the same ground. Then we can make technically a shorter game, but they'll feel like it's extra long. But it's one of those. They're not my thing, man.
I don't have nearly as venomous opinions about them as you. I just know that they're not my thing. Those that do enjoy them,
Yeah.
great. There's some good ones out there. Like I said, Hades was really well put together. It was very well done. It's just the thing that it was doing very well was a thing that just doesn't ring my bell.
Yeah. Also, February 10th through February 24th, I guess.
Hey, that's right now.
Arc Raiders is adding a PvE mode. as an event. I don't know if it's permanent. Man, I didn't have enough time. I was doing some quick hit researches, but I'm hoping it's permanent because, you know, some of us out there and don't mind being out in the world with people. I've done it with Fallout 76, but sometimes you have a hard day and you just want to come home and you don't want to have to deal with the idiots and the people that are just being mean to be mean. And people can take that ever how they want to. I do not care. Some days I just want to come home, play with my friends, and collect and go out there and solve mysteries and complete missions and not have to worry about it. And I think if they make it permanent, I think then that'll be a purchase for me for sure.
Well, Arc Raiders has been one of those that I have been getting
on the fence.
Yeah, I've been every week I'm like closer and closer to taking the dive because I would enjoy like Escape from Tarkov. I enjoyed watching people play it. I would have fun, like Sheriff Eli and Sequisha and people like that. I would enjoy watching people play it. Yeah. But I know that I'm not good at those things. I wouldn't be good myself. But then like Arc Raiders is it's still obviously a very high production value game. But it's a much more streamlined experience than Escape from Tarkov, and optimized for something like console play if you wanted to play it on console instead of PC. And you know, as much as I don't like PvP, like you were saying, you know, I don't like the people that just come in just to ruin your day. But what I do see looks like such fun. And if we got like a group of people, man, I can imagine us like having like the way that we do whenever we play like Helldivers or something like that, just having so much fun. So I'm so close to taking that dive with you, man.
Yeah. So yeah, that would be cool. And then the other quick one that I have, because everything else is related to something else. Well, two more quick ones. First off, Mad Max put up their headlines for doing a remake of Mad Max, which I thought was funny considering our discussion of Samson last week and how it kind of had that Mad Max appeal to it.
So they are remaking the Mad Max game that we talked about.
Mad Max 1 and 2 are being remade.
Oh, wait. So they're remaking the movies or the game?
Not Mad Max. I'm sorry. Max Payne. I wrote it down wrong in my
motherfucker.
I wrote it down wrong in my notes.
You had me so excited. I had not heard it. You know I love Mad Max. And now look what you did. Look what you did to me, Jay.
Sorry, mistakes were made. Max Payne 1 and 2. My apologies. Are being remade.
Because we did talk about how Mad Max was also, that DNA was also in that Samson game.
Yeah, and I felt like Max Payne had some DNA in that.
For sure.
Trailer, and Sleeping Dogs. We've mentioned it a million times, but so now that's getting that. I'm now going to be calling that the Samson effect for probably the next year. But anyway, that one's coming out. But my personal favorite, and also super livid, pissed off about it, was in 1998. I started playing just a tiny little game from a little company called Blizzard, called Diablo 2. Excellent characters, excellent DLC. Well, it wasn't DLC back then. You had to go to a store and buy the box, which was gigantic for PC games. And here we are in 2026, 28 years later. We do have a resurrected version of Diablo 2, of course, but they are introducing not only a new character, but an entire new piece of episodic in-game content. They're adding sets and weapons for all the other characters, but the new character is a warlock. And based on what I read today, late in the day, the warlock is absolutely ripped straight from the pages of Dungeons & Dragons. They've got a pact lord. You know, it's that whole bit. So you have to deal with pacts.
Eldritch Blast?
And I don't know if it has Eldritch Blast. I mean, if it does, you won't even need to worry about the weapon set. It'll just be Eldritch Blast. So super excited about this. And then I find out that this DLC is $24.99 US. Which in pounds, that's probably going to be a little bit more, and obviously in euros, but $24.99
in pounds, it'll be a little bit less.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. But it's too much for a 28-year-old game. And granted, it looks great now. It does. It looks really good. And, of course, Diablo 2 is the best of all of them. but I just don't know. I'm gonna have to see gameplay before I would even think about pulling a trigger on it. You know what I mean? But I just, man, I don't know how you feel about it, but $25 for DLC for a technically 28-year-old game. So
No, I'm with you on that one. That even though it's remade, it's not a remaster. They remade it. Even then, though, it's just the fact that it is this reimagining or whatever of this thing. So it's like, yeah, it's new work, but it's still something about it. Just DLC just seems inappropriate. If you want to. If they wanted to throw, I still wouldn't even be happy about this. But if they wanted to throw in a couple things where it's like, oh, we have a special armor set that costs a thing to buy, like I would be less upset about that. Although I think that's stupid too. But the fact to do an entire expansion and charge for it, I don't, because it also seems so pointless. It's a good game, but it's like, well, now, but that it doesn't, that expansion that you're paying for isn't going to play into 3. That's already out and happening. It's not going to play into 4. It just seems backwards. So it's like if they announced that they were doing an entire expansion to Skyrim. Like how about you focus your efforts on the next Skyrim instead of doing more, or sorry, the next Elder Scrolls instead of doing more Skyrim. Like we've got enough Skyrim. In fact, we got so much. We got it on our Switches. We've got it on our refrigerators. We've got it on our smart TVs. We've got it on our phones. We've got enough Skyrim. Let's move on to other things. Do work on the next Diablo.
Yeah,
that's not going to piss people off.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, dude. We've probably already said shit that's gonna draw down some remarks on this one, but. Anyway, man, that's all I had before we get to the bigger gaming news. So I'm going to turn it over to you, and then I'll fake react to those newses.
Yeah, well, no, you don't need to fake react. There was one big piece of news that I think I'll probably just save it to the end. That I was hoping that Jay would not have seen, because I said it went live at 4, and we were recording at 7. So I'm like, there's a few hours, and this announcement, I was like, this is one of those that'll get around real quick, that it'll start showing up on,
and it did,
news aggregators, Twitter, all that stuff. So we're gonna save that one for the end. But so to start off, and again, this is not the comprehensive list of everything from the State of Play. These are things that I found interesting, thought Jay might find interesting, things I thought were of note. They had other things that are not on this list, and if you like those things, that's fine. They're just not my thing. Like Dead or Alive. Dead or Alive, they announced the new Dead or Alive game and all that stuff, but just not my thing. But this is the list of things that caught my attention as we go through it. So, number 1 was Ghost of Yotei multiplayer mode, which we all figured was coming because they had a multiplayer mode. Yeah, in Ghost of Tsushima. So we figured that there would be something like this in Ghost of Yotei.
Which, by the way, that is so... It's an unsung hero of a multiplayer thing. I couldn't get anybody to get into it, and it's pretty good.
I never really got a chance to play it. I played at a different time than a lot of people were jumping on, and then whenever I finally did go through, and I was like, okay, I've got to finish Ghost of Tsushima. It was during Snowmageddon 1 down here, whenever there was no internet connection. I had power, I had no internet connection, back in 2001, 2021, and so whenever I did that, since I had no internet while we were doing that was Ghost of Tsushima was the one game that you could play without having to do the handshake before it would let you into the game. So I just plowed through Ghost of Tsushima. But I never really got to do the multiplayer. They announced Death Stranding 2's PC release, so that is coming for PC players. So again, you know how Jay and I feel about Death Stranding. It's weird, it's crazy, but if you get into it, give it a shot. I think you will like it. The walking simulator stuff, don't listen to people. Don't listen to people.
Swimming through 30-weight motor oil, don't listen to me. Even though
that's part of our intro. That's part of our current intro is talking about Death Stranding. So one that was we had talked about before, and we're wondering how it was going to work and all this stuff is the Bad Robot Games game called For Loop. which you had told me that they were working on it, and then they had a thing on the Game Awards where we saw a little bit of a trailer. So we've now gotten to see some gameplay, got to get a little bit of some commentary from the makers
That
over
I
it.
have not seen.
Yeah, so that is on the State of Play. Check it out. I am very intrigued. You can definitely see all of the DNA that you had talked about previously, the Left 4 Dead sort of mission-based gameplay, as it is PvE. It is your team of 4 that you're going through. You have a mission to accomplish. You have these randomly generated enemies, and you have these bosses and stuff like that. Different ways of going about the mission that you're carrying out. And then they did stress that only one of you had to survive. Only one person has to survive the mission in order to win. And then once you get through that, all the others kind of get remade through this very sci-fi way. And you go on. So their whole thing is, to fail again to save the world. So that's your whole thing. The 4 loop is basically replaying these different scenarios. If you fail, you play it again because you get remade. You play, you go. Anyways, it is interesting. I won't say that I'm hyped about it yet, but I am encouraged by what I have seen. I know that you'd said that it was like some of the devs and creatives behind Left 4 Dead, right, that were involved in it. So, like I said, the DNA is there. Looking forward to that. One of the other ones, this was a fake out. Now, granted, they made up for it later. They did some stuff there that I was happy. But this is one that faked me out from PlayStation, and I'm a bit bitter about it. So they said that they basically brought out the Legacy of Kain Defiance, and they had talked about it. It was basically sort of, it looked like it was going to be a remake or a continuation, as they were talking about the Soul Reaver world and all that stuff, but no. It is a remaster, not a remake, a remaster of Legacy of Kain Defiance. And the thing that kind of hurt me in my heart a little bit is they actually announced it as the final chapter in the Soul Reaver saga.
Well,
so
wouldn't we have already played it then?
Well, yes, we have, but the whole thing is everybody has wanted another game in the Soul Reaver saga, because Soul Reaver
played the first one and I loved it.
So
I just
never. The Soul Reaver saga ends on a cliffhanger. They never made they were supposed to make a fourth one. Fourth one never happened. The whole thing ended on a cliffhanger, and it's never been revisited. So the fact that they're like, "Hey, we've got this. We're coming back for a remaster." I'm like, "Oh God!" And then whenever they said that it was the final chapter in the Soul Reaver saga, that felt a lot like them saying, "You're not getting a sequel, but here's a remaster."
Well, I'm assuming then that maybe they will add some new content to close it out at the end of this remaster.
They did say that they were including lost levels, unreleased levels, stuff like that. So there will be additional content. Looked like you could actually play as Kain on some of that content. So we'll see. But yeah, there will be some unreleased levels, previously unreleased levels on there. They got to show some extended gameplay of Control Resonant. This is one that caught our attention.
That looks fantastic. Yeah.
Yes. This caught our attention on the Game Awards watch along.
I saw a trailer yesterday on that. It wasn't a trailer. It was like those videos you pull up on YouTube to be like 26 biggest AAA titles of 2026 or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it had like a 2-minute Control Resonant montage in it. And dude, it looked fantastic. Looked weird. Like Kojima you got to wrap your mind around it. Just deal with it. Weird, but
well, I mean, in the trailer that we saw during the Game Awards, it looked very much Inception-like in the way that it presented itself before it kind of turned into what it did. So in this extended gameplay look that we got to see more of this very sort of floaty-powered combat, this weapon that can kind of change forms depending on what you need. Could be a staff, could be a sword, could be a hammer. All this different thing, which again is very different from its predecessor, Control, or any of the other games that this company is behind. But they also showed, I believe they called it Shift was the power. So they were basically sort of showing like, okay, this is a little bit further into the game. We've just unlocked the Shift power, the Shift ability, and that was the ability to shift gravity. So it showed the character would like jump up and then activate Shift, and then so the world would turn, and then he would land, and he's on the now everything's turned. So he's on the wall that is now the floor, and everything just kind of like goes down and falls. So there's all sorts of stuff happening here, and then he's also like going around the building. So it's clearly going to be a thing where you have to turn the world to get places. So it's like, oh, I can't get there, but if I turn the world this way, I'll be able to like go across this ledge. It looks gnarly.
So an action puzzler kind of thing.
Yeah, it looks very much like it's like sort of like a slightly toned down Thinker's Devil May Cry, where it's not just like button mashy combo,
Right.
but actually sort of a little bit slower, a little bit more considered, and like a puzzler. So yeah, it looks like which I mean, it's very much Remedy. The Remedy's all about these sort of like interesting takes. I love Remedy as a developer, even if even if they did just another Control the way they had or something, I would still be into. I'm always down to give Remedy a chance, and this is something completely new for them, and so far it looks absolutely incredible. There was one that caught my attention, and definitely check this one out, guys. Look this trailer up, and unfortunately, in talking about it, I'm going to spoil the thing that caught my attention about it. But first of all, it said, that the game was based on this like legendary or well-regarded or whatever novel series. And then it said the novel series name, which I'd never heard of in my life, and that was The Bird That Drinks Tears. I'm like, well, I've never heard. That definitely sounds like a foreign language to English kind of a title. And then it kind of showed stuff. It looked like it's probably Chinese kind of thing as far as the aesthetics of it, like the older era Chinese, like the what's the Wulong
or
Wukong
one or the
Wukong, yeah, like that kind of era. Except it's people, and so we got some creepy people that are like look like maybe there's some magic going on, and then stuff like this. Anyways, so you go through that, and then and again, keep in mind this is called The Bird That Drinks Tears. So it's all humans. And then all of a sudden, your perspective shifts and you see these guys, and then you just see this smash. And there's this huge figure that has just like leveled and pancaked like three dudes. And this figure is clearly a behemoth towering over these three people. And so then you see this hand, and then it starts to straighten up, and it's kind of made clear that this is the player character, and it straightens up, and it is an anthropomorphic rooster. It is Foghorn Leghorn as the
I gotta
Dark
say,
Knight.
man, that's not where I thought you were going with that.
I was like, what is happening? And then it goes into a full-on like Dark Dynasty Warriors thing where he's swinging his thing, and so it's very clear. It looks like maybe like an open world Dynasty Warriors kind of thing, and you are playing like a 9-foot tall, jack to the tits rooster with a stick. So, yeah.
I don't know.
And I'm sorry, and it's called Project Windless. Project Windless is the name.
I'll have to write that down.
Of the game. I don't know if and in my head that's a bit of a like a side eye, like a little bit of shade thrown at the fact that roosters can't fly. So the Project Windless just kind of felt to me like a bit of shade thrown at Foghorn Leghorn there. But
it could have been worse. It could have been wingless.
Yeah. So we'll see. But that's a weird one. But go watch that trailer because it's interesting.
Okay.
They also showed the Star Wars Galactic Racer. Got to see some more of that, and I know that was one that you were, because you were a fan of the Pod Racer. So
just racing in general. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
If they ever came out with an updated Wipeout, dude, I'd be all over it for
so
PlayStation.
That's funny you should say that, because that is what I was going to say. Now that we've gotten an extended look at or at least compared to what we've gotten so far of Galactic Racer, it definitely looks like a mix of the Pod Racer, the old N64 Pod Racer game, and Wipeout. It very much looks like Wipeout. It also showed, because I don't think they showed this before in the stuff that we had seen, that you have like speeder bikes. You can race speeder bikes along with these, the larger vehicles and the larger ships. And
I'm anxious to see what the story is, even though it'll be worthless. I still am anxious to see
Yeah,
what
because
they
they do show a few like cinematic aspects. So there is clearly going to be some kind of story that they are connecting these events all through. So
and
it'll
what
probably be like
timeline.
yeah, it'll probably be like the same degree of writing of the stories that would go on like the Need for Speed stories
Yeah.
that they would use to get you from race to race.
Yeah.
Like yeah, I anticipate something like that. Then let's see, we had we had the new 007 trailer, which definitely would recommend you go and watch that. Got to see a little bit more, like I said, just kind of establishes a little bit more of the story and what we're going to be doing. And we got to see one thing I thought was interesting, and we'll see how this plays throughout the game. I'm assuming it also means that the game will take place over a period of time, but we get to see 007 with different haircuts throughout the game, which is not common whenever you play a game. Usually it's just
No.
whatever, but we see him like with the more military haircut when he is actually in the military. We see him in the longer hair that we've seen, kind of like a little pompadour kind of looking thing that we've seen in the other stuff, and then somewhere in between some hairstyle. So I don't know, but we got to see him in different hairstyles. So we'll see what that means for the length of time that we play through from beginning to end. As far as like, are we talking months? Are we talking years? I'm very curious.
Yeah.
Then we had the Konami presentation. A little sub thing in there. So they announced the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2. And all this is just remasters of 2 games. They did Volume 1 that had like remastered 2 games. This one is remastered 2 games. So they had, it was 3 games. So this one is remastering Metal Gear Solid 4 and Peace Walker. So again, these are remasters; they are not remakes. So I was not stoked to see. However, the one thing that I did see which is the reason that I wrote this down, is that they are currently selling the Snake Eater Delta, the remake of Snake Eater, is currently 50% off, 50% off. So I might grab it.
I know it's on sale on Steam as well for PC people.
I think it's on sale everywhere right now for 50%
it's everybody's. PlayStation doesn't really label them this, but on Steam right now, every developer is doing a Lunar New Year sale. So we've got a Konami one and a Capcom one and EA, and everybody's doing one. And Konami's actually has some great titles in it. But so you can grab that whether you're on PC or console for a decent price right now.
This one, I'm sure will get some people probably won't be happy to hear it, but we had something that I would have thought that I would be more excited than I was to see, and that is for the first time in a long time, we have a new Castlevania game. It is Castlevania Belmont's Curse. It looks incredible, and but it's still, I guess we'd call this 2.5D, where it's still 2D, but the characters themselves are rendered in 3D. So it's still 3D that way, but the actual environments are 2D. So 2.5D new Castlevania new Castlevania game, Belmont's Curse. And the whole side scroller thing,
can't do it anymore.
Yeah. I get it. I get the people that have that sort of nostalgic, pull towards it. I just don't have it anymore, man.
So, and I got to tell you this, and I hope you don't reach out and slap me across 26 miles, but that would be extremely talented, by the way. But so my family
under the table
bought us the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Christmas that it came out. And I don't know if we got it, I don't think we got it right off, but we got Castlevania when it came out, the first one. And I played it, and I loved it. I did. But then, of course, back then, side-scrollers were the thing.
That was the go-to.
Yeah.
That was the format.
I feel like I'm allowed to, I've got the cred to say this because I started at the beginning. But, Ninja Gaiden came out and was extremely hard and difficult, and I loved it. And Mega Man came out and loved it. And then Strider came out and loved it. Bionic Commando came out, which I guess they're doing a remake of that. But
well, they already did once.
Okay, maybe that's what it was. That came out, and I loved it, and I never went back to Castlevania. At that point, I was already lost in other stuff. But Yeah, I've never played a Castlevania beyond the original game. Now I have watched the show on Netflix, which is excellent.
Yeah.
But I'm not going. I can't. I'm not going back to sides, dude. I'm just not doing it. I tried the Assassin's Creed ones, and I was like, ugh.
Yeah, like you, I love the Castlevania lore. So yeah, like the show on Netflix is super cool. But yeah, the people that love it, I'm not saying that it's a bad format. Like side scrollers, I mean that's where it all started. Like I said, that was like 8 out of 10 games back in the day were side scrollers. That's just how it was. But it's like we're to a point now, and we can do so much now that it just feels like I would really like to see that level of reverence towards Castlevania and its lore and its history and its characters, and try to do something new and different to actually push it forward while still tying it to that history, but instead they just seem stuck in that history and just making it prettier.
And the game V Rising, which technically isn't a Castlevania game, but they do have a Castlevania episodic content piece that you can download DLC wise. And from what I understand, it's great, but it plays like a Diablo. So it's an isometric top down. But yeah, dude, I can't go back to side scrollers.
Yeah. So at first I was excited. And then the way that it looked, it was very clear it was new. And then they showed that. I was like, oh man, I really wish it would have been just something. It wouldn't have to. They wouldn't need to push it that far forward even for me to be happy. I just do something with a little bit more depth than, no pun intended, than the 2D side scroller. Something.
I'll tell you what, man. If you're gonna make a vampire game and impress me, make one in the Underworld franchise, and give me some of my Kate Beckinsale, please. But
peak Kate Beckinsale, no less.
Peak Kate Beckinsale as a death dealer. I think that would be a wonderful game if they did it right. And if they're going to do multiplayer with that, I think you let people decide whether they want to be a vampire or a Lycan, and I think that could be an incredible game.
Yeah, but even that film franchise went way down after the first couple.
Yeah. Those last two were. Woo-hoo.
We also got a Silent Hill game. The next Silent Hill game was shown.
Joy.
And it was called Silent Hill Townfall. The reason that I put this on here is because they tricked me. They Jolly Rogered me. They got me. I was swashbuckled.
Little house your uncle.
Hornswoggled. Yeah. So it starts off and there's this dude that's got some sort of chemical on, like it looks like it's like a medicine bag, like on his shoulder, and then it's got a little thing that goes into an IV on his hand. So he's clearly getting some sort of medical drip, and he's talking to some girl on the phone, and it kind of starts showing some clips, and there's some weird stuff going on, and then he tells the girl that's on the phone, he said, "I woke up in the water again," and it shows him like getting out of the water at this dock. And then he gets up, he's walking through this town, and there's all this weird stuff. And he says, like, oh, it's different this time. And basically, as it goes through, it's clearly telling the story about how this guy is repeating a cycle, and he keeps trying to change something that he's done. And every time he makes this attempt, it makes it worse, and he can't change it. But he's and the girl's saying, like, you did what you did, you can't change it. And he's like, no, I can change it. And so I'm like, okay, this is like a bit of a mystery. We got a little bit of, Edge of Tomorrow going on. I was so into it. And then it showed some like weird zombie stuff. And I was like, wait, what? And then it was like, and it was Silent Hill. I was like, well, I would have liked the first game. The game that you were trying to convince me that you had made, that's a game I would have played. But Silent Hill, not so much. But up until it was revealed to be a Silent Hill game, dude, I was on board. I was so on board. And then they got me.
I bet I could fire up the comments section right now by saying I've always felt like Silent Hill. And I kind of said this before without saying it, but I'm in that kind of mood tonight. Silent Hill to me has always been like low rent Resident Evil.
Which they also showed. They also showed Resident Evil on there.
Oh, that's cool.
Then the next thing was this thing that we'll say for the end, even though Jay
I've got
ruined
one.
it by staying informed. Then we had Marathon. So Marathon was hyped. They tried to do their best to hype people up for Marathon. Dude, I think that the fall, which we will get into, the fall of High Guard from the highs of being the one more thing at the Game Awards to where they are now in a 2-week span, I think that is going to get like trumps by what happens with Marathon. I think Marathon is going to be an even more spectacular fall. I cannot foresee this going in a positive direction for Bungie.
We're
but
in
they
total
tried.
agreement on that. Yeah.
Then we got a little bit.
I had a couple. I'm realizing what happened now is somebody piecemealed out some of the stuff from the State of Play. And I got some of the Konami stuff. But go ahead, man. I'll get to mine.
So the last few, we had Saros, which looked cool. But now that I know that it's a roguelike, I'm now less interested. I mean, I'm not less interested. I am disinterested. It looked so good. I just can't do that play type. So then we get we get this little thing of, you see like one thing go and you can see a half of the symbol or like the middle part of the symbol of God of War, and another stone and another stone. And so it's clearly the 3. And so I was like, what's going on? Like, how could it be? So is this, and there was also a little bit of a tune that sounded maybe slightly Egyptian, which that's where the next God of War is rumored to be, believed to be, is going to be in Egyptian mythology. Yeah. So I thought, is this going to be the reveal of, the next one? And then it showed it again. It was God of War. And it was the old school PlayStation, like the old PlayStation 2 God of War logo look, and then it said trilogy, and I was like, oh, okay. I mean, that's okay, whatever. A remaster of the trilogy, that's fine. And then it said, which they clearly did this on purpose. Then it said boom, and it was remake, and I was like, oh shit. And so then it cuts, and it's the original voice actor talking about it. Now they're in early development right now for this thing, but they are doing all 3 first God of War games
Which to me are the best ones. I hate to say it, but to me they're the best ones.
Well, and I do wonder what they're going are they going to do it in the style of the new ones? I don't know. So. Are they going to try to keep it canonical because it's clearly going to be the original voice actor doing it, and not Christopher Judge? So I don't know, but I'm stoked to see what they come out with that. They got me there. Then they did a drop of a new game that you can play today. It is out right now, and it is called God of War: Sons of Sparta. And this is, wait for it, a 2D side scroller.
There it is.
There it is. God of War. And you are playing Kratos as a Spartan. So you are not yet the God of War. And it's also like a bit of a pixel art. So it's meant to look like a 90s kind of arcade cabinet game. And
let's just make it worse.
I'm not going to lie to you, man. I'm excited about the God of War trilogy remake. Yes. I kind of don't want God of War Sons of Sparta to be a thing.
I absolutely agree. I mean, I'm sitting here as you've been talking, and all I can think about is the opening scene from the first God of War. And obviously I'm talking about the PS1 one, but that first boss fight, because I thought it was cool that they threw that boss at you in the first boss fight. And thinking about that in modern, like Unreal Engine 5 and how that would look, as long as of course, you'll be the young Kratos again. So you should be a lot faster and a lot more agile. I'm really excited about how that possibly could go down.
One thing that I am willing to put money on, though, is that whenever we get the God of War remake, one thing that we will not have, I would be willing to put money that we will not have
don't know
any
where this is
mini
going.
games.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
I believe those will not be included. But yeah, the God of War Sons of Sparta side scroller, I hate this idea because there's a lot of reasons.
You've already explained why.
Well, no, not just the fact that it's a side scroller, which
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of side scrollers. But so you are Kratos before he's the God of War. We know that Kratos was a Spartan warrior. We know that he was a badass. We know all the stuff about him. But I think we know all that we should know about his past. And any other color that gets added to his past, I fear will lessen it. And then doing it in this manner, even if there is something cool where it's this 2D 90s look, I think it's just going to take some impact away from any revelations about his past that may show up. Also, as you go through it, again, you're just a Spartan, and you see all these, there's blue orbs and all this stuff going around as he's doing his power-ups, and he wasn't super powered before he was Kratos, before he was the God of War.
Yeah.
It just seems like one of those things that I'm sure that I can see why somebody would think that it would be kind of cool, but I think whenever you look at it as a canonical entry in God of War, it just causes more confusion than this sort of like 90s arcade cabinet nostalgia is worth.
Yeah, I don't think we needed a tiny game to get us ready for that game. You could have just said, get on your PlayStation catalog and play God of War and God of War Ragnarok, and you'll be ready for the trilogy remake. That would have been an easier sell to me.
Yes. Yeah. I was not stoked about that. Now, well, do you want to do yours before we go into this big announcement?
Yeah, man, because I don't.
Okay.
This big announcement needs to set alone.
Okay.
So, like I said, I got like a chopped. Looked like somebody cut the video out of the state of play. I'm realizing that now. But so I see a shot of what will be your main character, I guess, on a bridge from behind. And he's wearing gray and he's got white hair coming out and he's got a half-face balaclava on. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Rikimaru from Tenshu. And my love for the Tenshu series has been well established on this show. But it's not Tenshu. And it's this... It looks like you can play it solo, but you can also play... It's like a 4-player shinobi ninja action adventure, maybe RPG even. And it's called Yako Shinobi Ops. But just the fact that... And I hate using this term because I've heard it so much this week. It really feels like a spiritual successor to Tenshu Stealth Assassin with multiplayer. But... So that was one I was looking for. And then obviously we got to see some more... And, we got Marvel Cosmic Invasion earlier or later in the year last year. That was a Marvel fighter with a decent roster. It looks good. Looks kind of old school Street Fighter. But we've got this new, very heavily Japanese-inspired Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls. And I'm adding the word versus at the end of it because I think it fits. But we got to see the Unbreakable X-Men. So it was... Storm and some of those folks, Danger, and looks
Wolverine.
like the Shi'ar. They're using the Shi'ar invasion storyline, which I think is one of the better comic ones. And that game looks like it's coming along swimmingly. So
I will say this about all
the
Marvel games that they are coming out with, whether it was Midnight Suns, which they changed the spelling of Suns, whatever. There's a whole list of issues with Midnight Suns for that, and then all these. One thing that I have seen, they are really, really trying to make magic a thing, like the chick magic, with a K.
Oh my God! Like they put her in.
They
Rivals,
are.
And I'm like, why?
Shoving her down our throats in everything.
Alex keeps bringing up these characters that keep getting added to Rivals, and I'm like, who the hell is that? And it's like they're trying to highlight all these obscure things. And I think you're going to run some of your fan base off. I really do. People that want the main people.
Yeah, so I'm like, man, why do you keep trying to like shoehorn magic into everything?
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry, that was one thing I saw there because it was like, we've got Storm. I was like, oh, cool, Storm. It's like, we've got magic. And I was like, oh my, her again? Jeez.
Yeah.
What else you got on your list for that one?
Man, that is it, dude.
Okay, so this is what we saved for the end. And I saw it, and immediately I was like, oh, is this what I think? And it was. So I told Jay, don't stay offline, look at nothing, read nothing, watch nothing. And it didn't matter. He knew. He found it. It found its way out. It went crazy as soon as it got announced, which rightfully so. So we're going to watch this. And, we'll take... Well, I guess we'll just go ahead and say...
I have not seen all of this trailer, one, and two, didn't get to see it with sound, or didn't get to hear it at all. So
here is the announcement of John Wick.
Woo! Oh, I'm already buying it.
Are you hearing this?
Yes.
A man with your skill set must be able to move unconstrained, unrestricted.
See, and this was, I was like, oh, that's Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, it was obvious.
He must be versatile, capable, adaptable.
You're going to laugh, but that opening scene, I thought it was going to be a Kingsman game.
I initially thought, I was like, they already showed 007.
Yeah.
And then, and then it kept going, and then I was like, well, this is the only other thing I think of that this would be, and then I saw the hair, and I'm like, it is.
He must be grounded, stable, constant.
Oh, sorry, we got the gun through. There's a little part here where you can see him deflect a bullet with his, by raising his arm up, so he's got some bulletproof tuxedo.
I believe you are ready, sir.
Yeah.
There we go. And here, okay, so this is the actual gameplay, or how representative we'll see. But this is the part that I thought was great, was that little snippet of gameplay that we got to enjoy there. Because that snippet of gameplay looked very much like something we have been wanting for a long time, which is a spiritual successor to Sleeping Dogs. Because there he was throwing people through glass, throwing people through car windows, using his environment to, inflict damage. So very much like something that we would see in Sleeping Dogs. Not to the degree of Sleeping Dogs, but we'll see. Now, this was, Saber Interactive working on this. They do the Space Marine games. Now, I have not played those, so I was hoping that you could enlighten me as to your level of optimism in the team behind this game and whether or not they could handle this.
Okay, I think, and you're gonna read naysayers for any developer, but I love Saber. And oddly enough, I play a lot. SnowRunner is Saber Interactive.
Isn't that a vehicle game?
That is a truck sim. But I also, just to give you an idea of their width and breadth that they do game development. So World War Z, which is what Space Marine was built off of, that Horde engine, their ability to get mobs onto the screen. And Space Marine 2 was, it was basically World War Z within Warhammer 40K. And that game is fantastic, and I still think you should play it when you get a chance, even just to go through the campaign, not even the multiplayer.
Well, that's what I would want to do is the campaign. That would be the main draw for me.
Well, yeah, and it's fantastic. And Although I would challenge you to play it in German, and just
Why
dub
would
the
I do
English.
that?
Just you're gonna have to trust me on this one. We'll
Why
talk
would I
about
not
it
want it in
offline.
English? Okay, okay.
We'll talk about it all because it's hilarious in German. I mean, it's absolutely hilarious in German. And then I can't even believe I want to have that conversation now. But so I'm excited about what they can do, especially with in Space Marine 2 when you're in close quarters and they've already overran what you can do with gunfire, and now you're trying to use your, your chainsaw and all your other stuff that you have at melee range. That makes me feel like this John Wick game is going to be solid. And like 007 First Light, I don't see them screwing this up. I also don't see them releasing this until it's absolutely good and freaking ready.
So,
Which Saber is kind of known for as well.
speaking of
So-
007, and we know their history with the Hitman franchise, what games in their quiver of arrows do you think John Wick could draw from that would lend itself well to this game? But their experience in this game would lend itself to John Wick.
The biggest one is going to be Space Marine 2 because that's their most recent outing.
Does it have any of the sort of like hand-to-hand combat or like environmental interaction within that? Any elements of that?
Yes, I even saw some of that, like when he got in super close, like face to face, and it was the whole arm over and then the punch, and you can do a lot of that stuff with in Space Marine. So, but they also did John Carpenter's Toxic Commando that's coming out. They did Painkiller in 2025. I don't know if you got to play that.
I know that was a shooter. I never played it, but I know it was a shooter.
They did the 2019 Ghostbusters. They did Crisis Remastered 1, 2, and 3.
See, I looked at a list whenever I saw that it was Saber Interactive. I'm like, okay, I know the name, but like, what have they done? And I looked through it, and I didn't see. I knew that Space Marine had been well received, though I hadn't played it. But then a lot of the other stuff that I looked at, I'm like, okay, like these are games that I know or have heard of. A lot of them I hadn't, but I'm like, none of these though scream like they would lend themselves well to John Wick because a lot of them are first-person shooters, things like that. So I'm very curious. Obviously, they're going to be doing a lot of things for the first time.
Yeah, they are going to be outdistancing their footprint for sure. They did Witcher 3 for Switch, the complete edition, and they also did work on Halo Combat Evolved. So, and again, none of those are John Wicky, type of situations. But I'll be honest with you, man. I'm not worried about it because it's in their hands. I'm really not. I think it's going to be a lot like what Alcat is doing with the Expanse, and we're seeing it more and more with games. I think developers are hearing our feedback about you got to listen to your fans. You've got to be faithful to the lore. You can't just slap a license on a piece of shit and send it out the door. And I think we're reaching the end of that era, and I think we're going to see some good games. But I'd rather them swing for the fences and miss than to give us something mediocre out of the gate. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
And I feel the same way about 007. It might come out and be a bomb. It might, they might have to redeem themselves like a No Man's Sky or a Cyberpunk. Who knows? I don't think that's going to be the case.
Nor do I.
And because that Hitman DNA is so pure, and they've had years and years and years to work on it. And I don't see Saber giving us a POS game as well, especially with a licensed IP like John Wick. And if Keanu Reeves is involved in this, he's going to be the guy sitting after a mocap scene going, okay, see what I did there? You need to do this, or you need to do that. And this needs to happen. I wouldn't have made that facial expression there. You have to, this is what I would have done. And hopefully they work with the movie creators.
I think they got to, man.
The stunt team, if you've watched that John Wick documentary, I don't know if you have or not.
I was the one that recommended it to you.
You're right, you were. And
Wick is Pain. If anybody has not watched it, watch Wick is Pain.
Pretty much everybody in those movies that's not a big profile name was one of the stunt team people. A lot of the people he beat up were the stunt guys training him to do that stuff.
Yeah,
so,
the movie looked great, but you don't realize it until you watch the documentary how shoestring that first movie was put together. I mean,
Yeah, I don't
they
even
had
think
people
it
that
was
were
supposed to be
killed
called
numerous
John
times
Wick.
in the first movie. Like they were,
Yeah.
they were Thug 1, 2, and 10.
Yeah, yeah. And I think I saw a couple people in there from Big Trouble in Little China, and that was from 1986. And so I gotta say, I'm not worried that Owlcat hasn't done a John Wick style game, but they're no stranger to action. They're no stranger to high level presentation.
I will say that I wouldn't say that I'm worried because they're doing it. That's why I wanted to ask you about what you thought, because I'm not worried because Saber Interactive is doing it. I'm just scared about anybody doing it. I just want it to be done right. And I'm like, are these the holders that will do it? Because prior to this, the only game that we had that was John Wick was John Wick Hex. Now I like John Wick Hex.
Yes, we talked about that. Yeah.
Yes. But what we would like the dream is to have a John Wick where you feel like John Wick and it plays very similar to something like a Sleeping Dogs, because that's what John Wick is. You're interacting with the environment. You're doing this. You're doing that. Like it's this whole improvised combat thing. I don't know. That level of fun. So what John Wick Hex did was basically they would say, well, let's not and say we did, but they did it well. So it was actually a very, and I know that you're familiar with this. I'm just, for those that might not be aware, John Wick Hex was kind of turn-based. So you would move, and then your enemies would have a phase where they would move, and it was basically like a turn-based action game, almost like an XCOM or something like that. And so you would have one little scene, and it might take you 30 minutes. Probably not that long, but it would take you a considerable amount of time to slowly put yourself in a place where the enemy can't see you, and then you come around, and then you do a move, and it takes them out. But you do this very long, extended thing, and then the secret sauce at the end of that, though, was at the end you got to watch it in real time, and then it looked like an action movie. Then you got to see, you're like, oh, this is where I ran by here, and I took cover behind that column, and then this guy came out, and I knocked the gun out of his hand, and I punched him in the face. So they found an interesting way to give you that John Wick feel from a very non-John Wick play style, but this one looks like if it's done right, we can feel like John Wick while we're doing it.
It was more like creating a John Wick movie. Like it was more of a take-based and not a
It was like storyboarding a John Wick movie.
Yeah. We're pre-vising John Wick here, so we're going to do this take, and then we're going to do that take, and then we're going to that take, and then we're going to watch the daily.
Yeah.
Right? So, which I thought was cool. But I'll tell you something else, too, that gives me hope. And you'll see it if you play the very first level of Space Marine 2. First off, that first level, you feel like it's never going to end. You're like, dude, it's like 30, 40 minutes in. Their ability to capture a set piece, a cinematic set piece, and make you feel like you're part of it, and then throw you into the fray, as it were, and live it, that was bar none in Space Marine 2, at least in my opinion. Of course, I could be wrong. But
well, that gives me that's encouraging, because obviously in John Wick, one of these things is these big set pieces. They go out like. Is it John? I think it's John Wick 2, where it's like that big castle where they're having the big party.
Oh yeah, that was that was fabulous.
And so the whole thing is like establish the set, kind of show you how it is, and then go around. And so if they kind of already have, they're already familiar with finding ways to make you feel and get you some buy-in into your locations and making them feel lived in and like. You're actually impacting. I don't know. That'll be a big thing for John Wick, because the further we got into John Wick, the more the places and the locales were characters. I know we say it all the time, but they were characters in John Wick.
Speaking of John Wick 2, I really wish, and that's my only knock on this trailer, is I really wish they would have been able to get Peter Serafinowicz to play the sommelier that preps him for his mission. Because it was great. He's like, what do you? He's like, I'm going to need something for night, and I'm going to need something for day. And what about leisure?
Speaking in innuendos, like they're talking about wine.
And for dessert, and he's like, I have the finest German cutlery, and this and that. I think it would have been that part would have hit harder in that trailer with Peter playing that role. So hopefully they can get him. Maybe this was just an initial take, but that would be neat if they can.
Yeah,
pull in
I
all
get the
those
impression
people.
that we are very early on. I like, even we get that little bit,
I
even
felt
the
like
bit
a
of,
tech demo.
yeah, even the gameplay that we got,
Yeah.
there's something about it where it didn't feel quite game like you said. It's kind of like a proof of concept sort of
Yeah.
of a scenario. So I'm betting that we are very very early on in
I'm sure
development
we
in
are.
this game, but I'm excited that we get a shot at this kind of John Wick game.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that it's taken this long, but hopefully the right
Yeah,
people
no
have the
shit.
license.
That is kind of disturbing how long it's taken to get a John Wick title, a good one.
Yeah. So there's that. Now the other, I know this is one of them that's on your list too. And we spoke about it briefly earlier, and but we'll go ahead and talk about this. So the next story that we just really need to talk about, because this is a cautionary tale, and
Yeah.
that is High Guard. And High Guard released 16 days ago, just over 2 weeks ago. And they have now laid off almost, not quite, but almost the entirety of their staff, keeping only core designers to continue to support the game. And
Sounds drastically like we're just going to keep it on life support until it dies.
this game will not survive. There's no way this game survives.
Nope.
This is, it's unfortunate. It's sad. I hate that people are losing their jobs. But this is mismanagement on some crazy. There's a whole series of bad decisions. You should not put out, and they're not the first ones to make this mistake, but there have been so many teams, studios that have put out a game, and the only way that studio could survive is if the game was a smash hit. Very few games out of the grand total of games that are released are smash hits. Don't make a game where the only staying in the black, and staying open, where the only way that you can do that is to have a smash hit. They had said that prior to Jeff Keighley playing the game and then offering to give them the one more thing slot at the Game Awards, that their idea was going to be to just stealth drop it and just say, hey, our game is out. Now, granted, I think that probably would have been better for them because, as we've said, I think that being put in the position that they were at the Game Awards as the one more thing hurt them in multiple ways. I think, one, it put a ton of pressure on them because that is a very touted position in the Game Awards, the most visible your game trailers ever. That's the Super Bowl for games. And the way that Super Bowl commercials are, that's how trailers are for the Game Awards. And they got the prime spot. And so there's a lot of expectations that you are now supposed to live up to. And on the other side of that, and we experienced it live, that we did it here on the show live, and that is, we see it, we think, okay, I mean, all right, that's something, it's different, I guess, maybe a little bit, and then you get some, people get resentful of it because, hey, you were in this big position, and you don't look all that great. And I think that one, they just had these expectations on one hand set too high, and then on the other side of things, I think people just had a lot of resentment for that game because it took that slot. I don't know, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I can understand it. I was disappointed as well, especially the way that Jeff Keighley hyped it up. So yeah, that's basically the update. There is that High Guard is laying off the majority of its staff. I don't know, Jay. I mean, what are your thoughts on just the whole situation?
Well, it's a tough beat because I don't think they've developed any other games, and
Not as a studio. This was their first game as a studio.
Yeah, and you failed. Whatever it was, whatever caused this massive layoff, failed miserably. I mean, it failed miserably. I mean, it's tragic.
Yeah.
And like you, I'm I hate the fact that people lost their job. It drives me crazy. And all of them were on Twitter and X today, even on TikTok, saying, "Hey, if you know anybody looking for a developer, here's my CV with 7 years of, and I've done a lot of stuff, and this and that." And what bugs me the most too is thinking about some of these people that probably left other companies to be part of something from the ground up.
Yeah.
Now they're just totally screwed.
Well, yeah, and I mean, some of these guys were involved in the making of Titanfall 2, which is again one of the ways that Jeff Keighley announced it. So everybody was like, "Oh my God, we're finally getting Titanfall 3." Boom.
And now I'm thinking about corporate culture where you're sitting in your next interview and you're like, "Okay, welcome to your interview with Ubisoft." All the traditional interview questions, and then it's like, how do we know that if we hire you to work on Assassin's Creed 14, that you're not going to leave when another jumpstart that sounds good pops around the table, So it affects so many things that the snowball effect on these types of things is terrible. So yeah. And no, I wasn't crazy excited about High Guard. It didn't blow my socks off. It had some interesting concepts that looked like, at least from what we saw at the Game Awards. But catching that lightning in a bottle that you mentioned earlier about being a smash hit is rare, man. I mean, at least 1 in 10, if not 1 in 100.
Not to mention, High Guard was free to play. It wasn't it wasn't even $20. So it's like I don't know what their business model was, what they had in their head.
Did they have any like founder packs or whatever where you could pay and get like?
Oh, I'm sure, but if they were putting it out free to play, they obviously weren't expecting this big headwind of sales from the game itself. They were going to, do sales within the
cosmetics.
So I mean, they obviously knew that it was going to be easiest to get it in people's hands if it was free. But then you still, I just don't understand. Like, so again, they expected to not make a ton of money at least up front because they were going to make it free to play. So I just struggle to understand how. I mean, granted, this fall is tragic, but what was the plan? If this ruined it and it didn't go according to plan, what was the plan? Like they said that they were going to shadow drop it and just like, hey, it's out, and not announce it or anything. It wasn't going to be on the Game Awards until Keighley offered. So
that was part of it, I think. Was
but that's the thing. It's like if they did, like they obviously it wouldn't have made a lot of waves then either. So I'm just like, I don't think if they are already laying people off 16 days into the release of the game, I don't think there's any way that this game would have succeeded, even if it wasn't on the Game Awards at all. Like even if they went according to whatever their original plan was, this game doesn't make whatever they needed it to make. There's no way.
Well, to me, it's a cautionary tale, and I don't think you can stealth drop a free-to-play game. I think that's, if they had a premium title, or if they made it premium, even if it was $20, and ran some type of PR campaign on it. I mean, some people can stealth drop a game, some developers, but when this is your first game and you go for the stealth drop, if Bethesda stealth drops it, everybody and their mother will come out of the woodwork. Yeah, we'll buy it whether it's shitty or not. Same with Ubisoft or some of these other huge companies. Well, maybe not Ubisoft as much anymore, but still, a lot of the major companies that people trust will latch onto that on a stealth drop. But when you're Wildlight Games and this is your first title, yeah, man, you can't stealth drop a free-to-play game. I mean, seriously.
And maybe they weren't going to say, like, stealth drop in the way where it's like, oh, guys, it's live now. Maybe it's just going to be like, oh, we're going to put it up for sale and maybe somebody will find it. But that's what I'm saying. Even that, you're not. That would imply that you are planning to make very little money in the beginning and hopefully it catches fire. But bottom line is you're not making a lot of money up front anyway. So the fact that you're already firing people, there's no way this game would have survived no matter what. This was poorly planned. Somebody made, and I'm sure Jason Schreier will end up having a story about it, or it be in one of his books or something at some point in time. There was clearly some kind of mismanagement or something going on here, because if this is the case, this thing was never going to make it. Never going to make it, no matter what.
Absolutely.
I think this made it worse, and it certainly made it a lot more public and a lot more embarrassing. But it's very obvious that this game was never going to make it.
Makes you wonder how many little teams are out there now with a game that they're halfway through the development cycle on, and they're like, well, shit, we're not doing that. We got to come up with a different plan.
Yeah, and that's not a bad idea, because on one hand you have Clear Obscure, on the other you have High Guard. High Guard tried to chase a trend that was hot when they decided to chase it. And like we've said before, that means you are guaranteed to come in at the tail end. You've missed the bus already. If you are saying, hey, people love this, let's do that, you're already behind. It takes, I mean, we're talking minimum, like small game, minimum 2 years. That honestly, that's even too small. At 3 years, I mean, it takes such a long time to develop even such a small game with the quality that they were aiming for. You're going to miss it. But then you have Clear Obscure that just did something different. Took inspiration from a lot of things. Yeah. But they did something different. It was a single player. It was a upfront sale. You pay X amount of money. We take that. No DLC. No gotcha gimmicks. No credits. No currency. Nothing like that. This is our game. We pay you for it, and it goes. It's. I don't know. I'm sure that, because nobody sets out to make a bad game. I'm sure that it was full of passionate people, but I think that passion just translates a lot better when you're doing something unique. And what they did was they did something well worn and well traveled, and they just put a coat of sword and sorcery over it. Let's do the hero shooter, but let's make it sword and sorcery. Let's make it knights and wizards.
But you look at, I'm thinking of another game right now that has been out for years, that has a passionate and loyal following, that was free to play, that kind of came out of nowhere. And they're probably not making millions of dollars. It's probably in the 6-digit thing right now. But it was unique, and nobody else has done it. And that's Absolver. And so you got a hand-to-hand multiplayer only game. But that game allowed them to make Sifu, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And from what
very
I understand,
difficult, but it's good.
And from what I understand, they're working on a sequel to that. But it stayed under the radar. You don't see anything on it. But, there are games out there that make it. And they probably got a decent business model, obviously, if they're still going. So, anyway, long story short, that's where I'm at on that.
Yeah, so it's sad. It's unfortunate. But I think it's the end that pretty much everyone expected and could see coming. I hate to see that. It was, like I said, whenever we saw it on the Game Awards, it was a disappointment that kind of got that stage, and then the fact that we heard nothing after that, I also think kind of did them a disservice. There, where we're like, oh, here's this trailer for this thing, and then they never came back with a sort of like an extended sort of, maybe a little bit of developer commentary over some gameplay and explaining some of the mechanics that make it interesting or unique. It was just a series of errors, and it's sad, but I don't think that I don't think that High Guard is long for this world as a game, and I don't foresee it surviving to even another few months.
Yeah, you're right.
But okay, so do you have anything else as far as video games are concerned?
I don't, man. I'm ready for TV if you're ready.
So yeah, I see you queuing up a lot of media here. So go ahead and take it over, Jay.
Well, first is TV, and I don't have. Well, I got a little bit of media on that. It's pretty decent, but I did want to mention I watched You still haven't watched any of Night of the Seven Kingdoms, have you?
I have not yet. I have not yet.
Okay, so this episode,
but the longer that I wait, the more I hear from all of these trusted
how good
sources
it is.
How good it is. I have heard not a single negative comment anywhere from anybody.
Other than the humongous dungus and the exploding shites, this show is getting nothing but praise.
Apparently, though, it's only going to be 6 episodes.
Yeah, but they're talking about a 10 to 15 year plan.
Oh wait. So there will be another season.
Yeah, there's going to be plenty.
But so just this season is 6 episodes.
Correct.
Okay, I'd heard somebody had said it was just going to be 6 episodes, and I was afraid that meant it was like a 6-episode limited series.
Yeah,
but it's not.
It's not.
Okay,
no,
good.
We're getting multis, but
I also heard that
this
episode 4 was perhaps one of the best episodes of. What I was told was one of the best episodes in all of TV. Period.
Absolutely. Yeah. So. This whole time I've been wondering, and I'm not going to spoil anything for you, and definitely not going to spoil anything that most people haven't heard about on TikTok. But I've been wondering this whole time why there was no intro music, no intro to the show, and definitely why we haven't heard the Game of Thrones song. By what's his name? Is it Miguel Sapochnik or whatever? No,
asking the wrong guy.
I forgot. But anyway,
I can hum the tune for you if that would help. But
I've seen a lot of people doing that on TikTok this week. But this week, for a very specific scene that apparently not just me gave the entire globe chills, was when they sounded off the music this week to a very specific event, and I can't get into it, but I'm telling you right now, it was a TV event that I'll never forget. Is what I'm saying. Because of the way it worked and the build up to it, and you're just waiting for it, and the doors open and the music hits, and it's like, wow, this is peak Thrones right here. This is absolutely peak Thrones. And also because I know the story already, we're hitting the part of this show with episode 4, even though we got only 2 episodes left at 30 minutes apiece. This is the best part of that first novella of George R. R. Martin's. And so it's going to be nothing but just straight up, just maximum effort parts for the rest of the time. It also, man, it helps. And this is what I want to talk about really, is the relationship between Dunk and Egg. And they could not have cast better actors for it. They actually legitimately became friends. They sent them out one day, I guess, or 2 days on a road trip together, and they went to the arcade, and you got this 7-foot behemoth talking about how he whooped that little kid's ass at Mario Kart.
So this guy is legit tall, like the actual actor is legitimately a giant. Okay.
Yeah, he's legitimately almost 7 feet tall, probably. I mean, you can tell there's no Peter Jackson camera tricks when he's. In fact, it's one of those weird things where it's so believably real, because it is, that when he's in a tent full of people, you're just like, good God, man. Holy shit. I'm sitting courtside at a Lakers game. This is crazy. But dude, I'm telling you, everybody they cast. Did you watch the Gentleman, the TV series, The Gentleman?
Yes. Yeah, I loved it.
So the guy that played the weird brother, the cocaine, had to dress up in the chicken suit. He plays Lionel Baratheon in this show, and there are times when he's that guy. You can tell that they used his gentleman role to cast him for this. But dude, when it's time to put the fucking knight armor on and get the sword out, he is every bit the part for that too. And there's an incredible. I'm just going to use the word call to arms. You got to watch this show, man. I mean, literally right now, it would take you less than 2 hours to watch all 4 episodes and get caught up before this week's. But I'm so looking forward to these 2 episodes. It's so good, man. It's a great show. And of course, we got news this week that House of the Dragon will end after the 4th season, not because it's bad, but because they're at the end of that story. If you read the book Fire and Blood, which the House of the Dragon segment in the book is only a small segment because it's an anthology of a bunch of different stories. But seriously, man, this is... I think they're wishing they would have went with the long format. I feel like that's what they're like. Oh my god!
Maybe
people
in
love
season
this.
2 they will.
Yeah, maybe they will. But I think they were. I think that it feels like they were like, let's just do small. We can't screw up 30 minutes. Let's do 30 minutes right. And I get that argument. For 30 minutes, let's be the best that we can be. No filler, no crap. Put pertinent stuff in there and make it work. And they accomplished that in spades. So this is a good show. I'm just telling. You don't even need me to tell you at this point. It's a good show.
I will watch it. I will get caught up. Hopefully, I'm off next week. So
oh wow,
maybe I can.
Awesome, congratulations.
Yeah, maybe I can do a little bit of decorating here finally. Get some stuff on the walls and maybe get on that. I do wonder though. It makes me think. Just to ask, have you gotten to watch any more of the live action One Piece?
So here's the thing, I have not, and
Okay.
it's because life finds a way sometimes to screw up.
Oh, I
even
understand. I was
most
wondering if you'd
plans.
gotten to a little bit of the magic yet, but no, you haven't.
No, I haven't, and I've had a couple days this week where I just didn't. It just felt like straight lethargic. But,
Oh yeah, no, I totally get it.
but I can't wait for Sunday I wish it wasn't so late at night that the episode's released, but I'm really looking for. It's been a long time since I've been looking forward. As I've gotten older, I've gotten a lot more patient. Like, okay, I can wait. But this is one of those where I'm like little kid anticipating this week's episode because the shit's gonna hit the fan. Like, because this past episode ended right before the shit hits the fan, so there's no way to open with not shit hitting fans. So it should be exciting. But in other TV news, and this is not a world premiere on the Hardcore Casual podcast by any stretch of the imagination, but we all knew it was coming. Nicolas Cage is playing Spider-Man Noir. And I got to tell you, until today, I thought it was a movie. Turns out it's an Amazon Prime TV show. I didn't know that. Obviously, I know he's playing Ben Reilly and it's Spider-Man Noir. Amazon Prime is offering a really cool tool where you can either watch this show in color or you can watch it in black and white, which apparently we are a house divided again because I'm going to be watching it in black and white and you are going to watch it in color. I will go back and watch it in color to see how it changes for me. I'm sure you'll do the same with segments of black and white. But I feel like it was meant to be watched in black and white, and so I'm going to.
So my thing which like I said before the show, is like if I could have it where whenever he is Spider-Man, when he's in the Spider-Man suit, if I could watch it where those are black and white and the rest is color, I would be into that.
Dude, or what if it was just him in black and white? That would be man. That'd be
because that's what
they
that's what they did in the Spider-Verse movies. He was in black and white, where everything else was in color.
That would be awesome.
So I would be, but yeah, I don't know. There's something about it. Whenever a movie is filmed in color, it bugs me to watch it in black and white. So even though the comics, and, his appearance in the games and all that stuff, it's always been intended to be a black, because it's noir. It's like a noir film. It's intended to be black and white. I think I'll have to. My first watch will have to be in color, I think.
And I get that. I'm not by any means judging you for it, but do that thing where you put us in the corners and I will throw this up there.
All right. Yes, sir. So let me come here. Oh, you got full screen it.
Yeah, I will. Sorry.
There we go.
And then I think I got the volume set where it won't kill people, but here we go. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You already know how it ends.
Well, then start from the beginning.
I do think it's interesting that since he's obviously quite old.
Yeah.
Thoughts. Impulses.
I manage to suppress them. Most of the time.
What's going on, Ben?
Wait,
Oh, and it is from the Spider-Verse.
what the hell happened to
Producers.
him?
I beat up some guys in a bar. And I got plastered.
There's Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. That was straight up Las Vegas right there. I love that. With no
Yeah.
power comes no responsibility.
What are you thinking about over there?
Bit of an existential crisis, if I'm honest.
Struck a nerve, huh?
Okay, so I dig that. I dig that. That looked good. I am definitely not concerned yet with that. That all looks great. Like I said, I think it's interesting because noir, because obviously the whole thing, again, noir films, the whole thing is PIs, private investigators, all that stuff. So he is a private investigator. He's older, even though I think they did some. I think they made him look a bit younger. I think there's some digital altering there to make him look, trying to make him look maybe like, looks like they're trying to like aim for like late 40s, getting him to like late 40s or so. But yeah, I am interested to see how this goes, and they're clearly letting him be Nicolas Cage. So I'm definitely curious to see his take on it, because until like reading the comics and stuff, I never thought, oh, Nicolas Cage would be great if they were brought this character to a screen. And then we had the Spider-Verse, and Nicolas Cage voiced, Spider-Man Noir in those. And then they just said, hey, we're going to make the movie, and it's going to be Nicolas Cage. I was wondering how it would work out. So far, yeah, that looks great. I'm excited about that. I'm stoked.
Which is funny when they handed him in the Spider-Verse, when they handed him the Rubik's Cube, and it went black and white, and he's like, what am I supposed to do with it? Which is fantastic. But,
I wonder if they'll have any. I hope they have some other jokes like that and stuff too that they throw in there. But I like you said, I do like the tagline, with no power comes no responsibility.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's all I had for TV.
I'm in it. Say what?
That's all I had for TV.
All right, I do not have anything to add to TV.
But movies, I'm going to start with a lower key one before we hit what I think is the big one. And folks, I apologize, I wasn't able to get some of the media assets that I wanted to use for this. But the first one I want to bring up is an image of Jason Momoa. The better one is of him swinging out on a big lowrider Harley.
Yeah, that's the one from the actual footage.
Yeah. But this is the look that they're going for. And I've heard people talk about, you can barely tell it's him. And for me, I think they need to do that because he played Aquaman. You can still tell it's Momoa. But
there's no way you're going to do it that you're not going to be able to tell. Like,
yeah, it's just unfortunate that's life. But
well, that's what you want him to look like, Jason Momoa. Like, that's the whole thing. That's why he's getting it. If you look at Lobo in the comics, it's Jason Momoa. Like, that's the look. Big dude, muscled out, like long hair. Like, that's Jason Momoa is perfect for it.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, when I watched Wrecking Crew and the scene where he's rolling up to his trailer in Oklahoma on his motorcycle, I was like, man, he's going to kill Lobo, dude. That's going to be awesome. Because it was a perfect look. So,
and
yeah,
looking at his look in that trailer and everything, I was a little like, I don't know. I kind of like, I was a bit nervous because they really went hardcore into the comic book look, where it's like almost a cartoonish version of a biker with the chain wallet and stuff like that. However, what I had to remind myself of was that they did the same thing in the Superman movie. Is they didn't try to make it realistic. They didn't try to ground it. They went full on comic book. And I know a lot of people hated it. I know that you disliked it the more you thought about it after seeing it. But I loved that
you
movie.
nailed
and
your review.
Yeah.
When I went to see it, you know, at that point, I'm sitting through the whole thing. I was like, boy, he nailed that. Yep. Russ got that. That was perfect. Yep. He called that. And that part of it was great. And it's only a small segment or a small piece of lore that pissed
which
me
they
off.
can tweak again. They can further tweak that to undo.
Yeah.
But so after seeing that, I was like, okay, they did that with Superman where they went full comic book. They went bright and they went vibrant and they didn't try to ground the look of the characters, and it worked out great and I loved it. So I'm just going to trust that the same will happen with this, and it won't be so cartoony that it's almost campy or whatever. But I mean, yeah, it couldn't be more of a perfect guy. And just a little thing to add to movie news and Jason Momoa movie news more specifically. And it has been officially announced that Jason Momoa will star in another video game adaptation, and he will be in the Helldivers movie.
Yeah.
So congrats to Jason Momoa. He is lining them up and knocking them down recently.
Is he going to cut his hair? I just don't see Helldivers.
He can't. He can't.
Helldivers are kind of clean cut. That's kind of a thing.
No, we haven't. The only one that we've seen without the helmet is John Helldiver. You know, the guy from the commercials.
Well, he's the gold standard.
I mean, the whole thing is they'll take anybody. So yeah, just let him let him keep his hair and whatever. I think it'll be great. And I think if they can nail that's another great thing about Jason Momoa, and especially if you didn't already know it about Jason Momoa, watching The Wrecking Crew, I think that is like the perfect tone to hit for Helldivers, where it's like there can be this dramatic stuff, there can be very serious things going on, and also this guy that's not taking himself too seriously and throwing in some good humor. I think, and Jason Momoa, that's just who he is. I think that's a great choice for casting.
I could totally see them dropping in that movie and him popping out of the pod, and then there'll be something right there, and he fires off and he hits his buddy in the shoulder, and he's like, "My bad." I mean, you can just see it happening. Because they're gonna have to pay some type of homage to Friendly Fire in that movie. Maybe more
there's
than
gonna be
one.
some, and the fact that I'm sure his character will probably die multiple times, and he'll probably have a clone that's just thawed out and sent back down. I mean, we'll see what they do. Like I said, it could go very poorly.
Yeah.
Or it could be great. And so far, I think they're making good decisions. We got Justin Lin, we got him. Like, so far, I'm liking. Obviously, we are a couple years at least from this thing being on screens, but so far, I'm liking what they're doing with Helldivers. So yeah, props to Momoa.
But the last one I have for the night, and something that's very near and dear to my heart, and yet something that is dividing the generations, and I'll speak to that too, is obviously they released filming shots from London, which is going to be important.
And this answered a question that you had posed. I think was it just last week?
It was last week.
And I texted you and I told you, like, hey, I just saw a video. I saw a picture.
So I was super busy when you texted me, by the way, but I did want to highlight your text. So Mason texts me and he goes, "It's official. Dave Bautista has been cast." It's funny that we just brought up Jason Momoa from.
Now we're talking about Dave Bautista.
And he goes, "It's official. Dave Bautista has been cast as the Kurgan in Highlander." So obviously we're talking about Highlander.
And this was just literally like 48 hours or something removed from you asking the question.
Yeah. So I saw his text, and I mean, I was so busy, I threw my phone down, but then I'm sitting there trying to process it while working at the same time. And I'm like, for me, that's a perfect cast. Apparently the fandom that is from my generation doesn't like it. And we'll get to that in a second, but they're filming in London, which is also important since the first movie did not take place in London. It took place in New York City. But here's a screenshot of Henry Cavill, and what also appears official is Jeremy Irons has joined the cast. I do hope he's not playing Ramirez. That's just what worries me, which was Sean Connery's character from the first movie, but he very well could be. So that part from the from the generational gap that I was talking about does possibly bug me. There's a lot of people saying the original film wasn't in London. If this is supposed to be a remake, they're already screwing it up. I'm getting Highlander 2 vibes. There can be only one. That was a tweet I read. And here's my thing. The original movie was in New York. It starts off at a WWF wrestling match with the Fabulous Thunderbirds or whatever. Wrestling, who gives a shit? And then there's a fight in a parking garage. If they move that to London and it's Manchester United playing Arsenal and the fight's still in the parking garage at Wembley Stadium, I'm fine with that.
Well, even if they're filming in London, it could still be set in New York. I mean, you get tax write-offs and stuff like that. That's why so many things film overseas or something like that. So just because it's filming in London doesn't mean it's going to be based in London.
But here's my thing. Even if they change the whole thing, all the locations, the settings that take place, whatever, if the core of the story remains the same, I was born in 1536 on the shores of Loch Shiel and Glenfinnan, whatever, Scotland, and that piece of the story where he's run out of his village and marries a woman and then meets Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez, and he tutors him, and then we fast forward to modern times. If that's the core part of the story and that's maintained, which with Henry Cavill involved, I don't see how it's not, then I don't care what the locations are. I don't care what flashbacks they do throughout his life to show him as he evolved as the Highlander. I did see a screenshot that I wasn't able to find where it looks like he's actually carrying the katana that he got from Ramirez in the original movie, which is cool. They also show footage of a woman on a motorcycle, and it was so far out I couldn't zoom in far enough without it, pixelating and see it to find out who that is. But I'm assuming she's going to be playing Brenda Wyatt, the love interest. But dude, so excited about this movie. And then Bautista joins the fray as the Kurgan. There's a lot of people that I love Clancy Brown, and he was this over the top 80s punk rocker facade that he put on while he was being the Kurgan in New York. In the shots we saw of Bautista in London, it looks like he's wearing a priest frock. He's got the white collar. Obviously has this like shoulder length long hair.
And a beard.
And he looks like he's playing a more serious version of the Kurgan. And if that's the case, I'm also fine with that, because 1986 was a different time, man. Punk rock was popular, and I think for that story, it fit Clancy Brown's Kurgan. But I think what Bautista brings to the table here is going to be, based on what I saw in The Wrecking Crew, I think it's going to be fantastic.
Well, and like we had kind of talked about whenever we'd spoken about this previously, was, I'm not, I still need to watch the Highlander movies. I'm not familiar. You are. These are, you love the first one, and then you had told me that, like, well, they retconned their own movie in the sequel, and everybody hates everything. And so we're in an interesting situation where I assume if you're going to remake the Highlander movie, the first one, that you intend to make a franchise of it. But they probably, it's Henry Cavill, I'm sure he's well aware of the perception of the lore and what they did to
He's brought it up before.
Yeah, so I mean, we're talking about a situation where they could be launching their own canon, where it's like, hey, we're going to do the first movie, tweak it a little bit here and there, but keep the core, like you said, and then we're going to keep that format. Like, we're not gonna do the retcon. We're not gonna give you midi-chlorians. We're gonna stick with what you loved and kind of undo the sort of tarnished history that started with the sequels.
Yeah, and I think that's an excellent call. Of course, the sad thing about the first one is the whole deal is New York is where the gathering took place, which is where all the remaining ones got together, and then there can be only one. And so it begs the question, if there could be only one and he's the last one at the end of the first movie, if they are planning on filming sequels or making a franchise out of it, they've got to figure out a way within the lore to introduce new immortals being made. Because in the first movie, they're made. They didn't originate from an alien planet and sent here. So that'll be interesting how they devise that, if that's indeed what they're doing. But as of right now, man, super excited to see this movie when it releases. And I don't care how long it takes. I just want them to get it right.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking forward to it. Again, Henry Cavill has just gotten so much goodwill from fans, just in general, of anything, that where it's like, if he is in your franchise, rest assured, he's in it because he wants to be there, and he wants to be there because he wants to do justice to the thing that you love. And I think, it sucks what happened to The Witcher, but his dedication in that role, and him, saying like, okay, well, you're not doing it. I'm going to walk away then. And, stepping away from a project that was not going to align with what he wanted and what was going to be true to the source material. I think that won him so much props from all the nerds. And, anytime he's involved, like I told you, I've watched a couple of lore videos on Warhammer. I've never played any of the games. I've never done the tabletop, never done the video game. Yeah, I've never read any of the novels. I don't know anything really. But I'm excited about it because Henry Cavill is in charge of it, and he's excited about it. So yeah, anytime that Henry Cavill is involved, man, I'm in. I don't know what you're doing, dude, but I'm gonna go with you on it,
Yeah, and I agree. I think it's one of those things where he loves the lore. He's a nerd just like the rest of us, and he's not going to be part of something that disrespects it, man. And I think that's what he did with The Witcher. And for the people that their only intro to The Witcher was watching a TV show, I'm sure they felt let down when he left. And I'm sure there was oh, he must have wanted more money, or he must, this or that, or whatever it was. But no, that's not what it was at all. So it was the best reasons to walk away. So I think Lauren Histrick Schmidt, the writer of the show, just started. She was feeling her Wheaties. You know what I mean? She thought, "Wow, I can do nothing wrong now."
Well, it did gangbusters, and she was like, "Oh, look what I did!" No, everybody people love that's the games. That's the games.
It's not about you.
Yeah, because the games are what took off. Then the games made the books, which obviously predated the games, but that's what got interest in the books, which then the books blew up. And it's no, it's not what you did. You that's we've worn that trail so many times about taking a property, taking a license, and then doing your own thing with it. It's just whatever. But anyway, moving on. But good on them. I'm looking forward to it. So we'll see how that goes. But you'd mentioned, what was it that you were talking about whenever you're talking about? Oh, it was Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and about how the show just starts. So that immediately made me think of Iron Lung. So I went and saw Iron Lung with my son last week on a Friday night. So if you guys are not aware, Iron Lung is a movie that is based on a game, and it was made by Markiplier, the YouTuber. He got the rights he played the game, loved the game, got the rights to make a movie based on the game. He wrote it, he directed it, he starred in it, he edited it. He did all of this stuff. He self-funded it to the tune of $3 million, and he never expected to make any money from it. His whole expectation was, hey, I made this thing because I'm passionate about it, and I'm able to, so let me try to do this thing and do it give it some love. And then I'd watched some interviews where he talked about how he almost didn't want to tell people about it. He's like, oh, maybe I'll release it on YouTube or this or that, but he almost didn't want to announce it as a project because if you put it in theaters, okay, I'll put it in 3 theaters and make a thing. He's like, well, I almost don't want to announce it because he's got 38 million subscribers. If he announces it and, it goes out in 3 small theaters, even if it's multiple showings across those few small theaters, maybe a few hundred people, a few thousand people get to see it. People are going to be upset they didn't get to see it. So he didn't even really know what to do. He kind of worked with some of these companies and, talk about me. Oh, can you give me one screen here, one showing, whatever? And basically, it got this wide release just out of I won't say quite an accident, but basically pre-sale. So he got a couple screens, made mention of it. Those screens immediately sold out. And then they're like, oh, well, let's put it in more screens. Then other theaters that were around that theater heard about how that had sold out. They were wondering what was going on here. So then they contact Markiplier. They're like, hey, can we put that in our... And it just spreads because people just keep buying tickets. And people are trying to see this movie. It was never supposed to have this wide release. It was never part of the plan. So anyways, whenever you go in there, me and my son, we sit down, we get the trailers before the movie. Well, like I said, Markiplier... He's the writer, the director, the editor, the producer. It's all him. He's not a production studio. So there's no kids sitting on a moon fishing over the thing. A DreamWorks. It just starts because there's no brought to you by, produced by, in conjunction with, in association with, none of that stuff. You see the last trailer and then fade to black, boom, movie starts. And you are immediately confused. I had not played the game. I had no idea what was going on. I was just interested in what had happened around the movie and all the great things that I was hearing about Markiplier and what he did in it. And my son was familiar with the game. And so we went and saw it. I had no idea what to expect. Immediately, I was confused. And this is one of those things that I love, which is... It's the same reason that Dune is my favorite novel, and that is whenever you are dropped into a world and you are given, there's no exposition, but you are given enough context clues that you can begin to piece together how this world works. And this does that. Now, it gets really crazy towards the end. Things get bigger and bigger and bigger, so to speak, as far as the story goes, the implications, what's happening. But the game itself is also rather vague on these things. There's a lot of things that happen that you don't get concrete answers for. And
may I ask a quick question?
Of course.
So while you're talking, I pulled up the description of the game on Steam. And I just want to ask if this is the movie. Mm-hmm. A short horror game where you pilot a tiny submarine through an ocean of blood on an alien moon.
That is correct.
Okay. Well, that explains pretty much all I need to know.
Yeah, and so you're immediately like, I'm sorry, why is there blood? I'm sorry, what? Alien moon? What's going on? What's happening? Like, it's just like
ocean of blood.
Yeah, like there's so many questions, and some will get answers, some will not. But it was so well done. I was so impressed with Markiplier and his ability there. And this takes place, 99.8% of this movie is in that submarine. There are maybe 5 brief scenes that are outside of, and when I say brief, I mean 10 to 15 seconds outside of this submarine. Everything else is taking place in a submarine about the size of the room that I'm recording in. Maybe a little bit thinner, maybe like a 6-foot by 10-foot sub. And it is fascinating as it sort of develops and goes, and the things that happen, and how this submarine kind of begins to tell more and more stories in itself as the movie goes on. And you're like, how can there be this many kind of interesting things hidden on this submarine? Right. But it does a great job of it. We also there's a lot of voices, so you do get interaction while Markiplier is in the submarine and he's communicating with people through speakers. And one of those people
in the movie. He's the guy in the submarine.
He's the star.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
He is the star. Yeah, wrote it, directed it, everything, all of it, all Markiplier. And one of the voices is our boy, Texas's own Troy Baker, and some other voice actors that were in there. And he I don't know, it was just a really cool thing. And then after watching the movie and then me having some questions, the more that I think about the movie since seeing it, whenever I first saw it, I was like, okay, this was fun. This was cool. But, I'm like, why wasn't this answered? What's going on here? What could this have been? And then the more distance that I got from the movie and the more that I thought about it, one, I kind of see that that's kind of the point, is to ask some of these questions. And I started appreciating that even more. And then I watched some of the lore videos and things like that of people for the game and got to understand some more context around some of the stuff. And I was super fascinated. And then what I thought was really cool was I saw some footage of the game. Again, it was made by one guy. It's not like this, crazy high, cost game. It's just a pretty simple game. And man, they straight up, they made that sub. That sub is what is in the movie. The only thing is he's got a throttle that he moves up and down and a little thing that he turns to go left or right. In the game, it's an up arrow, a down arrow, a left arrow, and a right arrow, but that's obviously so you can click it with the mouse. Yeah, so that's obviously you can click it with the mouse. But, they nailed it. They nailed it. So yeah, and he gets jostled around in there, and I was like, oh, because I heard it's very low budget. $3 million is low budget when it comes to this kind of thing. I was like, how they do that? Well, they did get it up on a crane, and they just it was like a shipping container, and they just threw that shipping container around, and so he was really getting the crap beat out of him in there. But I don't know. I can't really say a lot about it other than to say if you are interested in mysteries, stories with layers, starting out with no context and kind of figuring that out as you go along, and if you're okay with having questions at the end where you wonder what this could have meant, why this could have happened, I would say go see it. It was really well done, super fascinating. Markiplier did an absolutely incredible job. I loved it. I mean, my son loved it too. My son absolutely loved it.
Had your son played the game?
He had not played the game, but he had watched other people play it. Like, he'd seen people stream it and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay.
But
cool
yeah,
deal.
it was cool. So yeah, it's still out there. It's still making money. Like I said, he spent $3 million to make it, and it's already made. I think the last time I looked at it, it was $32 million or something like that. Good worldwide. Grief. So in the grand scheme of things, you think, okay, 32 million box office ain't much. It's a lot whenever you just paid $3 million to make it. And again, entirely self-funded. There's no production studio. So any money that gets made goes straight back to Markiplier.
Right. Yeah, that's a brilliant plan.
Yeah. So there you go. I don't know. I love it. So yeah, I highly recommend it. It is long. It's a little over 2 hours, but it's kind of like Castaway. It's a lot of watching this guy think and figure things out, and he does a good job. So it's kind of like Castaway, except he's he's welded inside a metal tube in blood for reasons.
All right.
Anyway, do you have anything? Oh, let me see if let me just double check my list here, see if there's anything that I have left off. Nope, nailed that. Okay, yeah. I think I'm good. I think my topics are exhausted, as am I. But yeah, we have had quite the week. But yeah, we scrambled to make it happen. But yeah, I think we got a pretty good list of news and stuff to get. And I'm looking forward to kind of, now that we had the state of play literally just a few hours ago, I'm looking forward to kind of like seeing what shakes out with people looking deeper into some of these games, and now some of these games that just got announced, getting the studios actually talking about them, revealing more details. So I suspect that we will have quite a list of news stories to go over next week.
Oh, of course.
So, all right. Well, I guess that's all we've got. So thanks, everybody. And I don't know, Jay, any final closing thoughts on anything at all? Advice?
Watch Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Get caught up on that. And that's not just for you, but everybody that ends up listening or watching this show, get caught up on that show. It is fantastic. Even if you don't like swords and high, it's not really fantasy. It's more just a medieval. It's somebody, the guy that said it best was Ira Parker, the guy that created the show. He said, this is Game of Thrones from the ground up instead of from the top down, like the original show was, which we watched through the POV of great people. This time you're watching through the eyes of a peasant from Flea Bottom. So it is a really unique take. And that's all I had, man. That was it.
Well, I don't have anything to end. I will say advice for you. Go ahead and, if you can, get through some more of the One Piece live action that you started, because I'm looking forward to getting your thoughts on it and hearing about it. I gotta get caught up on Fallout. I gotta get caught up on Night of the Seven Kingdoms. So I've got some homework for sure. But yeah, there you go. Watch Iron Lung. I'll say that. That's my thing to you guys. Okay. Iron Lung's good. Go see it. But all right, well, I guess we will see you back at the same time next week, 7 Central, right here on the Hardcore Casual broadcast. So I guess I think we'll call it there. So thanks, guys, and we will talk to you in a week.
I must bid you adieu. Goodbye.